Tina Mitchell here, and your local mortgage expert, and welcome to this week's One Time Your Business challenge. I've created this space to help you take your time management and business efficiency to the highest level possible in the spirit of one-timing. One-time your business and take control of your business so you can take control of your life back. And this week's challenge is all about successful networking tips. How do you stand out in the crowd? Ultimately, standing out is going to make you memorable and is going to increase your lead generation and the relationships that you're building, correct? That's what this week is all about, is how to make more money and strategically be successful in your networking events. So do you go to networking events and just want to blend in? Or do you want to be able to build a better connection than your competitor? That's what this week's challenge is going to help you do. So put together a plan and be strategic. So who do you want to work with? I would imagine that you're going to networking events to meet other business professionals, correct? I know you might be going there to work consumers, but I think there's a better way to get engaged with consumers. We'll talk about that in a future challenge than networking events. But networking events are really good to get connected B2B, business to business. Finding your power partner. So who is your best power partner? And I've said before, and we'll say in future challenges as well, how you one-time lead generation is really committing to building relationships with a power partner, the perfect power partner that can support your business. Why? Because they're doing business today, they can support you today, and they need you. They need you in order to complete whatever product and service that they have. That's why they're perfect. Versus a consumer, which is going to, obviously, that's our ultimate goal, is we're working with clients and closing that relationship or that service or product. But they might be one, maybe another one every 5 or 7 years. They may introduce you to a client here or there. Very few know how to refer, so there's going to be a small percentage that will do that, which again, a business partner is doing business today, can support you today, and needs you today. So that's how you one-time your lead generation, is get connected at a high level with these business partners. So who is that power partner? You want to make that decision in who you're targeting, and then you can decide where you're going. Because the networking events that you want to go to, you want them to be there, correct? It's great to hang out with your own people. I hang out with my mortgage people in the mortgage industry, but I spend a lot of my time with real estate professionals, because that is my ideal B2B. That is my perfect power partner to support my mortgage business. So I want to hang out where they are at, where they're getting educated, so I can know what's important to them to know, and then I have that information as well that I can share with other real estate professionals. I want to get inspired and motivated. Their inspiration and motivation is the same it's going to be with my own people, right? But one-timing the process, I really want to maximize and spend my time with real estate agents. Now, what you'll notice through this process as well, because we're going to talk about getting connected with them on a high level, these are the people that become your closest friends as well. So it's really a great thing. So where are they going? Find out, and that's where you want to go. There's plenty of networking events to go to, but be very strategic and choose just a couple. 2 to 3 that you're going to get involved in. We're going to talk about that and the reason why. The idea of continuing to go to new ones instead of starting and targeting just a few is not in the spirit of one-timing. So when you get there, part of the strategic plan is to know who you're going to meet. So one of the mind shifts in one-timing your business is taking the hard road. The hard road represents change, but it also represents doing difficult things, taking the difficult road. And where that comes into play, and that piece of the mind shift here in this week's challenge, is it takes some behind the scenes work, but it will pay off at a very high level, and it will lead the lead generation in the spirit of one-timing to a higher level, because you're being very strategic and putting together the plan. And remember, in a networking environment, it's not about the quantity of relationships that you build. It's the quality. Because the reality, quantity is not going to build you the relationship that we're talking about this week. You have to really base it on the quality. Who you can only spend time with so many people, right? So make a decision who you're going to connect with. One, maybe two business professionals. And then if you've already made a commitment of what organizations, networking groups, or organizations you're going to join, and you continue to go to those ones over and over again, instead of constantly going to new ones and really not connecting with anybody at a high level. Here in this situation, if you target rejoice in the small successes, which is, by the way, mind shift number 1, we've talked about this in a previous challenge. Rejoice in those small connections that you're making instead of the quantity of massive of them. And that gives you 1 to 2 new opportunities to build connections and relationships every time that networking event comes up, which most likely is probably on a monthly basis. So that's a lot of connections when it's a business to business. Someone that's doing business today can support you today and need you today. Okay, we'll talk in future challenges more about this in a different way. Now, today I'd like you to visualize an oak tree for me. Okay, so just take a couple seconds and think of that big oak tree. Now, I want to ask you a question. If you were to strike that oak tree 1,000 times in 1,000 different spots, what would happen to it? Really nothing. I mean, of course, you're going to put some marks in it, but you'll never take that tree down. But now I want you to think about if you strike that oak tree 1,000 times in the exact same spot, guaranteed, you're going to take it down. Now, how this plays into this week's challenge is the quality of the organizations, not the quantity, and the quality of the people, not the quantity of people that you're meeting. It's the same thing, target and strike and pick and go towards that instead of constantly moving that around. Now you need to be prepared to ask the right questions when you get to the networking event. What would they like to get out of today? That's a great question because nobody's really asking that question. You want to stand out, right? You don't want to be like the rest of the crowd and ask what they do for a living. You know what they do for a living. Sorry, my mouse pad here got a little wonky. Anyways, you know what they're doing. You're strategically deciding who you want to meet. So instead, ask them, hey, Joe, what are you hoping to get out of this networking event today? And let them, share with you. That will also help you to be able to strategize what they're needing at that time in their business. They're hoping to get great information on what's happening in the market. Well, you can come back and get that data for them easily by doing research if you don't already know that. I'm sorry, my keypad is just, there we go. I need to have my keypad working here for me. All right, who's the best power partner for them? Ask this question because that's really powerful. If they were, do they work with any business professionals? And what is that best business professional that's going to be able to most support their business? This will be great too because then you can possibly get them connected with that person that you may want or that you may know. And if you have time, depending on how much networking there is before the actual presentation or the speaker takes stage or whatever type of environment this is, if you have extra time, ask them what's important to them outside of business. Find out what is personally important to them. The reason we're not going to start with this one because we really want to make it around the networking group and what's happening there and make it around business. And if you don't get to this question, it's okay because when you're going to have your first meeting with them, you're definitely going to ask this question. And we're going to get into that in a future challenge when we talk about what to do at these follow-up meetings. Now, if you don't ask yourself, how do you feel when someone makes it about you, makes the conversation all about you, versus how do you feel when someone makes the conversation all about them? It's really easy to see how to get connected. Just ask yourself, how would someone get connected with you? And it makes it really easy to know how to conduct at those meetings. Now, an important part of the process is to follow up and follow through. This is where your competition is going to drop the ball. Well, they already dropped the ball because majority are not being strategic. They're not really targeting who they're going to talk to. They're not asking the right questions. So you're already standing out. But you know, majority are not going to ever follow up. And definitely, even if they follow up once, they're not going to follow through. Again, it's the hard road. It's really continuing to follow through with that process. We're going to talk about that at a higher level in a future challenge as well. Schedule the meeting. So whether you're scheduling, I would encourage not as much necessarily as scheduling it there at the network, unless you really have, if it's a networking event where there's not anything else happening except for that conversation with them. Otherwise, you're going to do this in your first follow-up as you're going to schedule the meeting. And again, I'm going to share in a future challenge and how to one-time this first meeting that you're going to have and the follow-up meeting that you're going to schedule at that first meeting. Networking events don't work for the majority because they're not doing them correctly. Remember, these challenges are about being the best of the best. It's about not being, it's about being a 1 percentile. It's not about 99% that are not getting the results. Or definitely, if you go back to the 80-20 rule, 80% that are doing 20% of the production. And they're saying that paradigm is actually shifting from an 80-20 to a 90-10. Whatever that is, you've got the majority that are not getting anything out of networking events. It's because of these things that we're talking about today. They're not strategic. They don't show up with an agenda. They come striking the oak tree in all kinds of places. They're not making the conversation about the person that they're trying to connect with, and they're not following up and following through. So in a future challenge, I'm also going to share how to stay connected and to really build those long-lasting relationships. The last tip I want to give you here today is to get involved. Join a leadership team. That's really get on the board and really commit, because who's on the leadership team is they are the people that you want to know, because they're the ones that are making that step and doing greatness. So get a part of that. Now, there's also a benefit in, I want to share as we wrap up our time, once you've gone through your leadership role, whether it's a 1 or a 2-year term, because typically that's what they are, is don't disappear after that. I can't tell you how many times it's a high percentage of people that are in the same networking groups I am. They're targeting real estate agents, they're other mortgage professionals, they get involved, they go through that commitment, which it is, of taking a leadership role and being a part of the board. And then as soon as that leadership role is done, they disappear, which is so strange because it took a while to actually get to that leadership role. So I don't get it, because you want to continue with the process that you're building. In a previous week, I've shared the Chinese bamboo tree, and I'll bring it up again. I'm going to share it today because you can use this visualization, visualize this for almost anything that we're talking about. And it has to do with rejoicing in the small successes, which is the first mind shift of one time in your business. The Chinese tree, bamboo tree, it takes it 5 years to break ground, but when it does, it goes 90 feet in 6 weeks. I want you to visualize that, because there was, of course, something happening in the first 5 years. It was growing underneath the ground. You just can't see what was happening underneath the surface. So it's the same thing with the challenges that we're going through. You may not see what's happening as you're building this, but you are building a foundation, and what you don't want to give up is you don't want to give up before you have an opportunity to see your bamboo tree. And once it breaks ground, just like the Chinese bamboo tree, visualize your business growing 90 feet in 6 weeks, because that's what happens. That's the ripple effect and the compound effect of staying consistent and persistent with your plan. Take control of your business, and again, take control of your life back. For more information on my live virtual course, which is my One Time Your Business 8-week burn, it's a complimentary course for all business professionals. I have it every Wednesday from 3 to 4:30. So as soon as I wrap up here with my Facebook Live, I get ready to head into my 8-week burn. I'd love to spend a powerful 8 weeks with you. I've created the space to share my philosophy in great detail, as well as to connect you with other business professionals. And I'm here to help you create the business and the life that you've always dreamed of. Have an inspiring day. Bye.